Hello, I am MP Misra. Welcome you all in this session. This session is a continuation of our previous session in which we talked about starting of C programming. And in this session, once again, we will try to start from the point where we left in our previous session. This session is part of the series of sessions which we have started for C programming. This is the second session. We are going to talk about C programming. In this session, we will try to see once again some more basic aspects involved in C programming, and gradually these basic aspects will develop you to a stage from where you can write your small C programs and from where you can begin programming in C language. So let us see the contents of the session which we will cover today is variables. You can see on slides, operators. Then we will talk about operators precedence. Then we will talk about some basic data types which we will be using in our programming. And then we will talk about statements. Basically, whenever you write a program, you write those programs in terms of certain statements and those statements executed. And on the basis of that, you get the result of the out of that program. So what are different kind of the statements that can be written in the C programming language, that we will try to see. Basically, when you are trying to write your program, what are the ways through which you can write the different statements in your program to get the result? So that we will explore. So let us start our discussion with variables. Variables are basically name given to some memory location. So whenever you are talking about memory location, you are talking in terms of storing something to memory. So question arises, why we need storage or why we need variables to be stored. So whenever we are doing a program or whenever we are trying to solve some problem, we are basically playing with some kind of data. For example, if we say that we are having a program, that program is taking the price of certain commodity or it is taking price of some item, and then it is asking about the amount of that item, and then it is giving you the amount to be paid for that particular item. So in that case, you are having 2 or 3 data available with you, and by using those 2 or 3 data, you are in position to calculate the price. And in more simple way, you see this particular as a, suppose you go to a shop, you purchase something, and after purchasing, what you have to do is you have to pay the amount of the items you have purchased. So for that, if you have to write a program, or for that if you have to calculate what will be the amount which you have to pay to the shopkeeper, then how you will do it? Your approach will be that you will take those different items separately, you will ask for the unit price of those items, then you will separately calculate or you will separately find the price of each and every item, then you will sum up those values and finally you will get to the total sum which to be paid to the shopkeeper. So in this process, what you are finding is that you are playing with different data. As I mentioned, that 2 or 3 different data for a particular item you are having. What is the price of the item, how many items you have taken of that particular type, and how many other items you have taken and what are the prices of that, and then you will finally calculate the sum. So this is a very simple process, and that you do in your day-to-day life. So this simple process you can take as a learning step for your problem solving. Basically, your problem solving in any particular language or programming language is almost the of the same type which you do in your daily life. It may be the approach of getting the solution, or steps which you are writing to get the solution may be little bit different, but actual flow of the process or steps involved in your process will be the same. So whenever you talk about very elementary level of programming or simple programming in a given programming language, you start from the scratch and you start thinking in terms of small problems. For example, if I say that I am having a square and I know the size of a particular side of the square, so you know the all the sides of the square are of same size. So that aspect you know at the time of writing program, and if you need to find out the area of that particular square, so size of a particular side is sufficient to you to find out the area. Then definitely if you know the size, what you will do, you will multiply that to its value, that is, if size is a of a particular side, you will multiply a into a and you will say the a square is the area of that square. So what we are trying to find out here, or what we are trying to reach here, is that certain data or certain values are there while we are solving our problem, and those values are of importance in the process of getting the result. So if here we are of the opinion that there are some value and those values need to be taken care of while solving the problem, so question arises, how we will identify those values. Those values are going to be stored somewhere in memory. So if I say there is a storage location in the memory and where that value we are going to store, the next stage we will say, let us give a name to that particular location in the memory, and that name we say the name of the variable or reference to a memory location where that value will be stored. So if you see on the slide, the next point here written is that every variable has a name, a type, a size and a value. So name is just for the identification, type is the type of variable, means if there is a variable, what type of data it will store, whether it will store a integer value, whether it will store a floating point value, whether it will store a character or something else, it is decided by the type of the variable. Then size. Every variable is having its maximum size, and that is the maximum capacity of that data type which can be stored in that variable. We will see in our discussion today some basic variables, data types available in C, and those data types size. Then question arises that if I am having a variable and I store another value in that variable, what will be the status of the value which is previously stored in that particular variable? So once you are accessing a memory location, you are putting some value there, you have given name to that particular memory location in terms of variable name. So once you are reading something from that location, there is no problem at all with the value which you have stored there. But if you write something again on that particular location, definitely the previously stored value will be disappearing from there, or what you are actually doing is you are overwriting the new value on a location. So once you try to put something on a memory location, the previously stored information on that location will disappear. Then reading, as I mentioned, that reading is not going to affect at all. Reading is going to keep the same value in the memory location. It is going to affected only once you are trying to write something on that memory location. So this is very basic idea about variable. We will see whenever we are going to do something with some kind of data, we will try to associate that data value with a name, and that name once again will refer to a memory location, and we are giving that name as a variable name to refer to that memory location. and all the variable will have a kind of type associated with it that will decide that what kind of value you can store in that variable and what will be the size on the basis of the type of the variable. Now next will be, if we are having certain variables and we are going to solve our problem by using the value stored in those variables, how we will solve our problem? We will solve our problem basically by using certain kind of operation performing on those variables. For example, if we are having two numbers and we have to find out which number is bigger among two, what we will do? We will see to those two numbers and we will try to do some kind of reasoning on that, or we will try to apply some kind of operation on that given two variables to find out which variable is having larger value. So the kind of operation which we are applying on those two variables or between those two variables is going to give you certain result, and these operations may belong to different category. It may be some kind of arithmetical operation you are applying as per need. For example, if you have to add two different numbers, you will apply addition operation. If you have to get the difference, then you will apply subtraction operation, and if you have to multiply, multiplication operation. Similarly for division, you will apply division operation. So one category of operation is your arithmetic operation. So those operators which are used for arithmetic operations are known as arithmetic operator. For example, plus is for addition, minus is for subtraction, star is used for multiplication, and backslash is used for division. If I say that 2 plus 5, then definitely this particular operation is going to give you result 7. Similarly, subtraction, if you talk about 15 minus 7, if we say, we will get result 8. And similarly, if we say 5 into 8, we will get 40. And if we talk about integer division, then what we get is how many times divisor can divide the dividend. So 7 by 5 will give you result 1, and whatever remainder is there, that will be truncated. So if I say 7 by 5, that means I will get result 1. And one more operator is there, that is known as modulus operator. Percentage sign is used for that, and this modulus operator return you the remainder. Remainder is the value which is left over after the division. For example, 7 modulus 5 will evaluate to 2. If here it is 6 modulus 5, then definitely it will evaluate to 1. So in this way, remainder you are getting by applying this operator in between these two values. Now one more thing here is to be noticed, that when we are performing our arithmetical operations, sometimes we see that the operators are having precedence over another operator. So for example, if you say A into B plus C, result will be whatever A into B is, in that you will add C. Means A into B is going to be evaluated first, and then plus operator is evaluated. So some operators, arithmetic operators, are having precedence over another arithmetic operators. The precedence means that some arithmetical operator will get priority at the time of evaluation than other. For example, multiplication operator is having precedence over addition operator. So if you are writing this multiplication operator and addition operator in a statement or in a particular expression, as I mentioned that A into B plus C. So here into and plus both are there in a particular expression. So into will be evaluated first and plus will be evaluated after evaluation of the into, or that is multiplication. So if you are in a situation where these kind of operators are involved in a operation, then you have to take care that whether you write your expression in a way that you need A into B plus C, then it is okay. Otherwise, if you need a result that A into whatever B plus C is there, for that you want to multiply with A, then you have to take care of that aspect, and that aspect can be taken care by putting parenthesis over the operator to which you want to give the precedence. For example, let us see here a simple example is written. If suppose I am writing here x plus y plus z by 3, what it will evaluate? It will evaluate x, then plus y, then plus z by 3. Now, which will be evaluated first? This x plus y will be evaluated first, then z will be added to it, and then whole will be divided by 3, or z by 3 will be evaluated first. So here this division operator is having precedence over addition operator, so this z by 3 will be evaluated first in this execution, and z by 3 value will be added to the value of x and y. So what you will get as a result is that x plus y plus z by 3 will be your result, not the x plus y plus z whole by 3. And if you need a result that is average of these three numbers x, y, z, then what you have to put is in a parenthesis x plus y plus z whole by 3. If you are writing, it means that you will add these three numbers first, then you will divide by the 3, and this will be the result what you are expecting. So at the time of writing your expression in which you are putting different operators, you have to be careful about the precedence of the operators. Now, as we discussed, these are the operations for addition. Plus is being used, and if you have to find out a plus 7, how you can write it is, you can see on slide, a plus 7. Similarly, for minus, I minus j, if you have to find out, in C you can write I minus j. Here I and j both are variables. And multiplication, jk, it means j into k you are trying to write, and this is the operator used for multiplication. So in C, if you have to write this particular j into k, you will write j star k. Similarly, for division, you have to write x by y, and this modulus operator, percentage sign, it is read as r mod s, and you can write r percentage s. And as we talked about operators precedence, so this is the order of precedence. Parenthesis get precedence over all the operators. Means whatsoever written in the parenthesis will be evaluated first, then operators will be applicable outside the parenthesis for evaluation. So if in the expression you have written star, division or modulus, then star, division, modulus, these three are having precedence over plus and minus. So plus and minus is having less precedence than any other operator, but parenthesis is the, you can say it as a operator, but it is not actually the operator which is performing some kind of arithmetic or logical operation. It is providing you facility to put something in a group which get higher precedence than other things in the expression. So these operator precedence you have to take care while you are writing some expressions for evaluation. Now we can see these examples, and these examples will help us to find out the applicability of the precedence of the operators. In this example, we have written 4 plus 5 into 6. It means what will be evaluated first? 4 plus 5, 9 into 6 may give some other result, but actually it will look for the precedence of the operator, and the operator which is having higher precedence will be evaluated first. So in this case 5 into 6 will be evaluated first, and it will turn up into 30, and 30 plus 4 it will give 34. So 34 is the result. And here once again the same expression we have written, but we have tried to give precedence to 4 plus 5 over star. We have put this 4 plus 5 into a parenthesis. It means whatever in the parenthesis will be evaluated first. So it will be 9, and 9 into 6 will give you 54. So in this way you are identifying to which operation you want to give more importance or precedence over other. That you can do with the help of either by putting those operators simply open, or by putting those things in a parenthesis. Another example we can take here, 4 plus 5 plus 6 by 3. If you see here, so 6 by 3 will be evaluated plus first, it will give you result 2, and then 4 plus 5 plus 2 will give you 11. But if you are putting whole thing into parenthesis and whole thing you are dividing by 3, you are getting some other result, that is 4 plus 5 plus 6. You are adding all these three numbers, and then you are dividing that sum by 3, and then you are getting result, that is 5 here. So in this way we seen that how operator precedence is working, and how we can decide the precedence of the operators by putting parenthesis. If you want to give some more importance to some less precedence operator, we can put that particular in the parenthesis, and whatever we are giving in the parenthesis will be evaluated before anything evaluated outside the parenthesis. Now another kind of operator we will see here, that is relational operator. Relational operators are those operators which are used basically for some kind of calculations, for finding out truth of the given expression. Truth of a given expression, if we are talking about, truth may be whether it is either true or false. So these relational operators, once again this is also a binary operator. So arithmetic operator, we have seen those operators were binary operator, and binary operator means it is working between two operands. So this operator also works between two operands. This NOT is a unary operator. We will see what unary operator means when we will discuss this NOT. This equality operator is there. This is a relational operator, and if there are two variables or two values, let us say x and y, and if I am putting here x equal to y, for equal to we are using here sign of double equal. It means that if x is having the same value as y is having, then it will return into true, otherwise it will return into false. So this relation will be true if x and y both are having same value, otherwise it will return false, or it will turn up into a false value. NOT is just opposite of the value given. If y is true, NOT of y will be false. So NOT operator you have to apply on single value only. So NOT operator is a unary operator. This is greater than operator. This greater than operator decides which one is greater between two given value. For example, if we are putting x is greater than y, it will return true, or it will give true only if the value stored in x is the value greater than the value stored in y. Similarly, less than operator, x less than y, when value is stored in x is less than the value stored in y. And one more operator here is, that is less than, greater than, equal to. greater than equal to is similar to greater than, but it is checking for equality also. So it include checking of greater than, and if not greater than, it include checking of equality. So you can say this greater than equal to operator is equivalent to sum of this greater than as well as equal to operator. If I say x is greater than y, it will return true only if the value stored in x is greater than the value stored in y. What about equality? If I say x is having value 4 and y is also having value 4, and I check for this operator, x is greater than y. So definitely 4 is not greater than 4. So in this case it will return false. But if we are checking about greater than equality, 4 is greater than equal to 4, it is true because 4 is equal to 4. So this greater than equality equal to is checking for equality as well as greater than both. So it is greater than plus equality equivalent. Similarly, less than equal to, it will check for less than as well as equal to. So it is equivalent to combination of this less than and equal to operator. Now let me talk about some data types available in C. These are the basic data types. There are some other data types also, but we will discuss about the very basic data type which we will use in our programming in coming sessions. Character. The size of this data type is 1 byte. 1 byte equal to 8 bit. So it can store maximum 8 bit. Integer. Integer is of size 2 byte. So it can store maximum a value in 16 bit. Similarly, float. Float can store value in 32 bit. And double is 8 byte. So it can store value in 8 into 8 bit. In addition to these, there are some other operators also which talk about signed, unsigned, long, and long double, but for our purposes these operators will serve the purpose. So these are the operators, and these operators are having their respective size. Character is 1, int is 2, float is 4, and double is 8 bytes. Now if we want to check the size of the operators in C language, so there is a function available in C language, that is size of function, and if you are putting the name of the data type in that function, or you are passing the name of data type as argument in that functions return you the size of that data type. So on next slide we will see how we can find the size of different data types in C by writing a program. So this program is a very simple program. In this program what we are doing is we are trying to find out the size of the 4 basic data types which we discussed here. So if we have to find out the size of character data type, what we are passing here is a character that we are writing char, the character data type, and the function name in which we are passing argument is the size of, and this function will return here the size of the character data type. Similarly, for finding the size of the integer data type, we are passing int as argument in the size of function, and it will return the size of the integer. And similarly, for finding the size of the float, we are here passing float as argument in the size of function, and it will return the size of float data type in C, and here we are passing double as a argument to the size of function, and it will return the size of double data type in C. Now after executing this program, what output we will get? That output was given in the table also, which we will discuss. Size of char we discussed. Size of char is 1, size of int is 2, size of float is 4, and size of double is 8. Similarly, you can modify this program for other data type also. For example, long, if you want to check, you can put here long, then you will get the size of long variable, long data type in C. So this is a program to put you into practice for finding out the size of different data type in the C language. Now we will discuss about statements. Till yet we discussed about variables, operators, and data types, size of those data types. Now if we are having these basic things, how these basic things are used while we are writing the program. These basic constructs are used in terms of making our statements for performing some operation. As if you remember, in our previous session we discussed about a program that was addition of two numbers, and you have seen that we were trying to read the value of two variables, and then we add those two values, and then we got the sum. So it was a process in that what we were trying to do is we were trying to perform some operation step by step. So similarly, your statements are also set of steps written in your program. By going through those steps, you get the result of the program, result of your program. So why these steps are written? These steps are written by taking care of to perform some action. This action may be, it may be that you are declaring some variable, it may be that you are performing some operation of input or output, or it may be that you are performing some operation for calculation. These are the operations by combining which you get a result for, even for your simple application and even for your complex applications also. You perform these operations only, and you decide which operation to be executed at what time. And if we take a very simple example here, that you want to print pass or fail on the basis of the value of a test grade. So if I say there was an exam conducted in your class and the result of the exam is available to you all, and by seeing the result you have to decide whether a given student is fail or pass. So it looks very simple, but if you are writing it in the program to perform this operation, how you will do it? It is once again very simple. The way you are thinking or the way you are reaching to a solution, that whether a given student is pass or fail, that way you have to apply at the time of writing your program. What actually you will do? You will have some variable in that you will read the grade or marks, and then what you will do? You will compare that grade or marks with the certain criteria which decides whether you are fail or pass. If grade is greater than certain value, then you are pass or fail on the basis of that. If marks is greater than certain value, then you are pass, and if it is less than certain value or equal to certain value or less than that, then you are fail. So on the basis of that you are making some decision and you are reaching to a conclusion that whether a given student is fail or pass. So here what you are doing? You are taking some value as input, or you are reading some value. Then you are performing some operation, and that calculation, it is not necessary that your calculation is always arithmetic calculation. It may be a logical calculation also, that you give true or false as a result, and on the basis of the value that true or false you decide something. And if it is true, in your case, for example, if I say that there was a test conducted, the condition is that if a student get 50 marks or above in the test, student is pass, and if a student get less than 50 marks in the test, student is fail. So for you now, criteria is very clear to decide whether the student is pass or whether the student is fail. You have to compare the student marks with the 50. If it is greater than 50, student is pass, and if it is less than 50, student is fail. And on the basis of comparison, if it is true, you will print pass, and if it is false, then you will print fail. So this is one operation, and if we want to add some more complexity to this operation, we can say that we want to decide whether a student is pass or fail, as well as we want to decide if a student is pass, what is the grade of the student. So once again you are putting one more level of complexity in your operation, that it's all right, you decided that whether a student is pass or fail, you can decide, but now you decide whether a student is pass in first division, whether a student is pass in second division, or whether a student is pass in third division, or if there some other division exists, how you will decide that student belong to that division or not. So for that, once again you will come to certain criteria. For first division, what will be the criteria? If a student get, let us say, some 80 marks or above, then you will say that student is first in first division. If a student gets marks greater than 60 but less than 80, definitely if it is greater than 80, student is in first division. If 60 to 80 it is, you say it is second division, and if it is 50 to 60, you say third division. So in this way you decided another criteria, and you are going to check a specific value on the basis of those laid down criteria. So these steps makes you capable to reach to a conclusion or to reach to a solution, and your programming is nothing but to identify those steps, those operations in a given sequence to reach to a solution. That is the objective of programming, or writing program, or solving a given problem. So here we are clear that we are writing steps in our programs, and those steps may be for calculation, those steps may be for taking input or giving output, those steps may be for declaration of some variables, or those steps may be for calling certain functions from outside. For example, in our case, size of function we call from outside, from the library stdio.h. So these are the steps involved in our programming, and these steps are called statements. So by writing a series of statements, basically you are going to get the result for which you are writing the program. So now question arises, what may be the different type of writing of those statements? So for that we will see what are the different type of statements in our programming. You can see on slide, we can categorize our statements or writing statements in a programming broadly in three categories. One is a sequential type, in which you are writing one statement after another. So a series of statement is there, and those statements are executed one by one, and ultimately you reach to the result. Conditional statement, this statement is also called branching statement. As we have seen here branching means you are at a stage from where you can go to different direction, or you have reached to a certain point, and from that point what basically you are trying to do is you are jumping from that point to some different choices of points available to you. For example, in our pass-fail example, we have seen that if a student is having 50 or above marks, we are jumping to a stage where student is pass, and if the marks is less than 50, we are jumping to a stage where the student is fail. So here we are making a branch. We have reached to a point where marks is available. We are checking the marks with the percentage for the passing or with the criteria for passing, and on the basis of that result we are jumping whether it is true, going to some other side, and if it is false we are jumping to some other side and we are saying false. So here we are making a branch kind of thing, that there are branches available and you can select one of those available branches on the basis of the conditions which you are applying, or on the basis of the value which your condition give to you. So for which in C programming different constructs are available: if, else, switch case. These are the constructs which are available in C programming, which are used for writing conditional statements. And similarly iterative statements, some activity of group of activity if you are going to perform several times, or if you want to perform some activity repeatedly in your program, then that category of statements comes under iterative statements. So let us see these statements or these category of statements program one by one very quickly. This is a sequential statement. In this you can see our program start here. We are declaring a variable, we are reading that variable, and then we are trying to find out the square of that variable. So here we read the value. After reading the value, we perform the operation, we get the result. So this is a sequential operation, and if we are writing some statements in our program in sequential way, this is the example will belong to sequential statement. If construct, as we discussed about, if we are checking condition and on the basis of condition we are performing certain statements. If condition is true, these statements will be executed, otherwise you will come out of this block. Here you can see the example. We are taking two variables x, y. We are reading the value in these two variables. We are checking if x is greater than y, then you are printing x is large, otherwise you are printing y is large. So here you are branching on the basis of the value of x and y. And if we give 23 and 45, definitely 45 is large, so this branch will be executed. It will check the value x and y here, because y is large, so this will not be executed. It will come to else part and it will execute y is large. And similarly for loop, it is having initial condition, test condition and incremental condition. So for loop we will discuss in next session, and with this, in this session we come to an end. In this session we try to learn about what variables are, what statements are, what are different kind of operators, and how you decide precedence of the operators by putting parentheses. And then we try to cover what are different kind of writing of statements in your program, that may be sequential, iterative or conditional. So in this session we covered iterative and sequential. In next session, when we will discuss about some other aspect involved in basics of C programming, in that we will see what iterative statements are, and we will discuss about for loop in next session.